Good evening and welcome to the COVID variation of the Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting. This is a special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals that we've scheduled because we missed our regular meeting on August 5th. This is the August 25th, 2020 meeting. And I'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd kindly like to ask Mr. Wentz to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all feel free to take your phone off mute and begin the pledge.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wentz. I'd now like to call a roll call. Just please, you can, if everyone would kindly keep your phones on mute while we're going through things and take it off when you're speaking, that would be appreciated. The roll call, Mr. Reale.
Present.
Mr. Rosansky.
Present.
Mr. Riley.
Present.
Mr. Saunders.
Present.
And that's all I see. Before we begin the regular meeting, our town attorney, Mr. Cordone, would like to talk a little bit about the process. I would also note that we have a minimum number of board members here. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cordone. Everything will have to be unanimously approved. Is that correct?
If we have five, I think we have five. One.
Yep.
Two,
We do, Jim. We have five.
We have five. So then you need, it's not unanimous. We need four votes for an affirmative response.
So there can only be, right, there can only be one no vote for something.
Correct.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that before we proceed.
Yes, and that is how a normal meeting would be as well. So I think we are operating under normal circumstances with respect to that. But thank you for asking about that.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure.
Mr. Cordone?
Sure. So I'm James Cordone, one of the town attorneys, and this is the August 25th special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I just want to state for the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order 7B and 7I. It is being conducted by video conference and teleconference over the internet and/or the telephone. I would ask all the commissioners and participants to remember to please identify yourself before speaking for the benefit of those who may be listening only by telephone. I would ask the chairman to make sure that all votes are taken by roll call vote. And again, I would advise all parties, including the public, that this meeting is being recorded. Thank you for that opportunity to state that. Mr. Chairman, you're on mute.
Thank you very much. As you said, one day we'll get the hang of this. Is there a motion to accept the minutes from the June 3rd, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting?
So
I make
moved.
the motion.
Mr. Riley made the motion. Is there a second?
I second Saunders.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Has everyone had a chance to review it? Any discussion, comments, corrections to the minutes? Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes, just raise your hand and I'll look at you. And Mr. Riley, speak.
Approve.
Okay, they're approved unanimously. For those of you joining us tonight from the public, I'll read the application numbers and name. I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. After I read them, I'll ask you to come forward and present your application. Please give us a few minutes to review the application after you present it, and then we'll go through and ask questions. To the extent there's anyone in opposition to any applications, we'll ask for any opposition. As Mr. Cordone said at the outset, we're going to change our normal procedure. After each application, we'll then close the hearing, discuss that application, and vote on that application, and then reopen the hearing. We'll do that for each application. We have 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tonight, and we'll try and keep it on pace. It takes a little time. Please note, after we close the hearing, the public session is over, so there won't be any comment. Please put your phone on mute or computer on mute. The discussion will only be had by the Zoning Board of Appeals members, and then we'll reopen it to the public, where the public can participate again for the next application in sequence. And if you have any questions about the process, feel free to speak up. Our town attorney is here. Our town zoning officer is here. And if anyone needs IT help, Mr. Chin can help you as well. Thanks very much. The first application is application 20-18 for 19 Franklin Street, Christine Kennedy and James Stolzel. Please come forward and address the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Christine, my husband, Jim. Thank you for pronouncing his name right. Appreciate that. Doesn't happen all the time. We are putting in an application to put a deck on the back of our house. The reason why we need a variance is, first of all, the shape of the deck and where the house is placed. If the house itself is not within the 40 or 50 foot. It's an older lot, so the house is actually not within the 40-foot limit from the edge of the lot line. And the deck will only be 26 feet from the rear lot line. It does replace a brick patio that was there. And so right now we can't use the door to go out the back of our house. But we are looking to put in a wood deck as a 14 by 20 deck. And the only people that will be able to see it are the neighbors that are in the rear lot. I have a question in terms of process is if this is approved, I'm not sure what the process would be once, if it is approved by the board. Do we need to resubmit a work permit, or does this become part of the work permit record?
Would you like me to answer that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you will need to submit a new application, or rather a building permit. It can be signed. We are willing to sign it. I am willing to sign it. Should the board approve it, you do have a 15-day appeal period.
Okay.
I will approve, if they approve it, I will approve the board's decision, given the fact that it is within that, you understand that it's within that 15-day appeal period. Okay.
Are there any other questions about what we will be doing?
No questions.
I don't have any questions. I'm just going to go through each of the commissioners to see if they have questions.
Okay. I will mute in the meantime.
Sure, but feel free to speak up if they do. Commissioner Reale?
No questions. Thank you. Nice presentation.
Commissioner Rosansky?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Riley with a beard?
Yes, no questions.
Commissioner Saunders?
No questions.
Okay, with an even larger beard. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-18, 19 Franklin Street? Please come forward. Is there anyone on the line who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-18, 19 Franklin Street? Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, if I may interject, I just want to make, Mr. Chin, is the public able to speak at the moment and or raise their hand? If you could just advise them
Sure.
on how to do that.
Yep. Any member of the public on the phone can press *9 to raise their hand, or if you're on Zoom, there should be a toggle at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand.
And they have access now to do that. Thank you.
Yes, they should have access to do that.
Okay, there's been no one additionally in favor, no one opposed. So we're going to go through the new process. Please correct me if I step out of process, Mr. Cordon. We're going to close the public hearing with respect to application 20-18. Public hearing is now closed. We will now discuss this among the Zoning Board of Appeals members and vote. Is there a motion to approve the variance, the application 20-18?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, that was approved by Mr. Saunders, the second.
Joe Oshansky, second.
Second by Mr. Rosansky. Thank you. This is relatively minor and to me inconsequential. Anyone have any comments or questions about it?
No, it seems pretty straightforward and makes sense.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All in favor of approving application 20-18? I'm going to read the roll. Commissioner Reale,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosansky. Joe, you're on mute. Okay, Commissioner Riley,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
and I am also in favor, unanimously approved. Thank you. We'll now reopen the public hearing for application 20-19. How are we doing, Mr. Cordone? Good? All right. Application 20-19, 16 MacArthur Road. Stephanie and Calvin Jones, please come forward.
Yes, I'm Jeff Stanley from J.R. Stanley Builders. I'm representing the Joneses.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. We're asking for a variance for a setback. We have a minimal setback for a second floor to the addition, to the house, to the existing footprint of the house. Just for a growing family. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, while you're looking at that, I should have stated earlier that all materials, all applications were posted on the town website 24 hours in advance of the meeting. And all members of the commission have access to that and also have paper copies as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanley. One thing I just wanted to mention to all the applicants tonight, when you come forward, please identify yourself as the other applicants have and state your name and address. I don't have any questions. Mr. Stanley, Commissioner Reale, any questions?
Yes, I have one question for Mr. Stanley. The second story, you're not increasing the footprint on the first floor, correct? It's going to exist at 44.8 from the setback? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky?
Further questions?
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders?
No questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience or on the phone who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-19, 16 MacArthur Road? Please come forward. Is there anyone else here who would like, or on the phone here in our meeting, who would like to speak in opposition to application 20-19? Please come forward. Thank you. Hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing as to application 20-19. Is there a motion to approve application 20-19? Mr. Reale made the motion. Is there a second?
Saunders seconds.
Thank you. Once again, this looks to be pretty minor. I don't have any issues with it. They're building straight up. Any comments, Commissioner? I'll just go quickly through. Commissioner Reale?
Yeah, there's no increase in the footprint. I have no problem approving this application. Pretty straightforward. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky?
No comments.
Commissioner Riley?
Yeah, this is a garrison. This floor, the second floor is a garrison with like that's got about an extra foot. Is that what I'm seeing
Yes,
here?
that's correct. Yes, a 1 foot overhang.
Mr. Stanley, I'm sorry, the public hearing has been closed. The questions are really just being posed to the group. No problem.
Okay,
We're
yeah.
all
So
learning this
no,
process.
yeah, this all makes sense. It's a garrison. He can tie in the porch and it's a foot over. I don't see anything. I don't have anything.
Thanks. Mr. Saunders?
No comment.
All right. All in favor? You could take it off mute and we could do this all at once. Aye.
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 All right. I got all unanimously approved by the commission. Thank you. We'll reopen the public hearing, application 20-20, 22 Merrill Road, Stephen Bell and Erica Michaels. Please come forward.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. So my name is Stephen Bell, 22 Merrill Road. What we're proposing to do is to construct a rear-facing dormer on our second story within the existing footprint and also build a wraparound deck with the majority of the deck in the backyard. We want to do this because our house was built as a one-bedroom home in 1946 before the current zoning regulations.
Okay, just give us a minute just to quickly look at the plans. Got it. Thank you, Mr. Bell. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Reale, any questions or comments?
I'm sorry, no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky,
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Riley,
No questions.
thank you. Commissioner Saunders,
No questions.
great, thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-20? Please come forward. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to application 20-20, 22 Merrill Road? Please come forward. Okay, we're going to close the hearing as to application 20-20, 22 Merrill Road. Is there a motion in favor of approving application 20-20? Please speak up.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Commissioner Rosansky, seconded by Commissioner Saunders. Thank you. This is also another one that I think is relatively minor. I don't have any issues. Commissioner Reale, any concerns?
No, no issues at all. I think it's pretty straightforward. One thing, Mr. Chairman, should we be reading the engineer notes into the record or no? I just did notice that there may be comments on the engineer's report. Just wanted to throw that out there if we're doing that now or not. Just
Absolutely, we should. Thank you. And this is actually the first one with engineering comment. So assuming we'll read those, I really appreciate you mentioning that. Sorry, I stopped at Commissioner Reale. Commissioner Rosansky, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Riley?
I don't want you on.
Brian, I think you're frozen.
No
there.
questions. No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders?
No questions.
Terrific. Thank you. All in favor? Just raise your hand or,
Aye.
great. Saunders, Rosansky, Commissioner Reale, Commissioner Riley, all in favor?
Aye.
I don't see or hear you.
aye, aye.
Aye.
Terrific.
about
Okay,
me?
it unanimously
Riley.
passes. Yes, I have it. Terrific. Thank you. Application 20-20 unanimously passes. I'm reading into the record, and thank you again, Commissioner Reale. The engineering department comments, crushed, when you'll deal with this during the building process, but crushed stone must be installed under the deck. Thank you. I'd like to reopen the public hearing. Application 20-21 has been continued for the next hearing. The next application is 20-22, 129 Fresh Meadow Drive. Christopher and Veronica Lenzen, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Lenzen, and this is Christopher Lenzen from 129 Fresh Meadow Drive.
Good
And
evening.
we are requesting a variance because we'd like to build an addition off the garage to the rear of the house. The addition would be 25.75 feet by 29 foot wide, and it would put our structure 27.5 feet from the rear setback.
Just give us a minute to look at the plans for a second. And I see you have two neighbors at the corner of the property there. Have you spoken to those two neighbors or three neighbors?
Well, we did send letters to all of the abutters, and we spoke to the neighbors directly behind us because they did call us to ask a couple of questions, but that was it.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Commissioner Reale, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned, first of all, nice presentation, Mr. and Mrs. Lenzen. You mentioned you spoke to an abutting neighbor. Which neighbor did you speak to, and did they have any concerns?
So yeah, the neighbor we spoke to was Lucille Raftery, and it was actually her son who had called, and it was a question regarding the property lines, because oddly enough, they didn't actually think that we were anywhere near them because everything is wooded and the rock wall that's back there is not actually the property line. So they just wanted some clarification as to what was actually theirs. And you'll see on the survey that we submitted, it is a very tiny triangle right off of the rock wall. So once they discovered that, they were really far less concerned about anything else at that point.
Great, thank you. And I think you answered and anticipated my second question. Is that rear line, that's a wooded area that
It's
abuts
all
between you and your neighbor?
Mm-hmm. The only spot that's not wooded is probably about 2 feet past the property line, and that's Pachysandra, and then it becomes a thickly wooded area all the way up past that rock wall in the back, and then beyond. You could put a whole house back there.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky, any questions? Joe, you're on mute.
Yes, I do have a few questions. So this addition is off the garage, proposed one-story addition,
Yes.
and it's regarding your hardship. Is there a stated hardship regarding the? Is it the property size or configuration? What's the hardship here?
So normally given, if you look at our survey, obviously you wonder, well, why aren't they going off to the side? Because of the incline of the property, if we were to go in from that side, we'd have to do significant excavation. And then the lowest level of the new addition would be significantly below our current garage and then our first floor. And the addition is for my mother. And the amount of stairs that would be required for her to ever get access to us would be the hardship at that point. So we're trying to make it as convenient for her as possible.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Seems like the site that is primarily your hardship, that it's along narrow site, and you're not going off to the side because of the grade.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the word grade. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Riley, any questions?
Yeah, so I do have a question. This is just a single story.
Yes.
How do you enter this space?
So the way it's being built, it's going to stick out from the side of the garage, and there'll be an exterior front door there, and there will
Right.
also be a doorway through the garage. So my mom will actually get to park in the garage and then enter through the garage or through an exterior door, and then so that would be how she would get in.
Yeah, so this space is not entering your current living space directly. You have to go through the garage.
Through the garage, correct?
Or through that, and you indicated that walk,
Yes.
that walkway. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Saunders, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Saunders. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-22? 129 Fresh Meadow Drive. And is there anyone on the phone or with us who'd like to speak against application 20-22? Please come forward. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at this point and entertain a motion to approve the application 20-22. Is there such a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Commissioner Riley, Commissioner Reale, the motion is, the second was from whom?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Reale made the motion, Commissioner Riley seconded. Sorry, Linda. Anyhow, all right. Once again, relatively minor. I know it encroaches into the setback, but it's pretty significantly, but it's pretty unobtrusive, and it seems like the neighbors are fine with it, and there's lots of screening. So seems acceptable to me. Commissioner, let's just go through the list. Commissioner Reale, any comments?
Just the explanation that it is the variance is based upon the topography of the land. I've actually driven by the property, and the grade is an issue with regard to development. And my concern was alleviated with regard to the buffer between the neighbor's property. So I don't have an issue with regard to the application.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky?
No further comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
No, I think it's all pretty straightforward. Is there any rules about doing an addition and then not having it connected to, even though it looks like it's, I think it'll probably be pinned to the garage foundation, that there isn't a connection between the main existing house and this new structure?
If I may, there are, Commissioner Riley, and I think we'll have to take that up with the planner, Rob Labrandy, and that will be taken up with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Great. So we're at this point just ruling on the setbacks, but I just wanted to.
Yes, you'd be ruling on the structure.
Yep.
And setback.
Yep. Okay, then I'm okay. No further questions from me.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders?
No comment.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, unanimously. Application 20-22 unanimously passes. I'd like to reopen the public hearing. We'll hear from application 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue, George and Patricia Costopoulos. How'd I do? Ready here? This is application 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue. Mr. Chin, do you know if they're on the line or their representatives?
It doesn't look like they're on.
Okay, Mr. Cordon, what's the process if they're not present?
Well, I think, have we had any contact from them, Mr. Lenz or Ms. Finger?
No contact, no negative contact, nothing positive, no.
They sent out their mailings as far as we know.
Yes.
Yes, we've got their mailings and I sent them a reminder yesterday with the agenda and I didn't hear anything back from them.
Okay. I don't know if either of you have a phone number for them, if you might take a second to just try to reach out to them in case it's a technical problem. Mr. Chairman, I just advise that we move to the next item on the agenda and then we'll come back to whether or not we should continue this to another meeting.
Thank you, I'll do that. That's application 20-23. We're going to move that to the end of the agenda after application 20-28.
Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt for just a second, I'll be back to you. I'm going to make that phone call per the town attorney's advice. I'll be back. I have to just get off the phone here for the Zoom meeting. I'll be back on it. All right.
Application 20-24. I understand that application 20-24 has been continued until the September 2nd hearing. We have the pleasure of meeting again next week and we'll hear application 20-24 at that time. Application 20-25.
Mr. Chairman, if we could just have a motion to continue that to the September 2nd meeting, that would be great.
Okay.
Do I
need to close the hearing?
Excuse me, can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I had notified him because his mailings were not done in time, and I had told him that if he wanted to be on the September 2nd meeting, that the mailings needed to be done by Friday, last Friday, the 21st. I have not heard back from him whether or not he did the mailings. So I'm not sure what that means for the next step.
Well, why don't we just have the continuance? If he has not supplied the mailings, then we'll have to deal with that in the September 2nd meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue the application subject to meeting the requirements for notice.
Saunders seconds.
And there's a second. All in favor of continuing application 20-24, subject to valid notice to the September 2nd agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, so it'll be continued unanimously. Application 20-25, 35 Lorma Avenue, Dean Capaziello. Please come forward. Application 20-25, Mr. Capaziello, are you on the line? I see the name there, but I don't see anyone on the line. I don't hear it. I hear some background noise. Mr. Capaziello, are you there? Mr. Chin, it looks like there's a connection and I see two names actually.
Yes, I see that as well, and they're not muted.
Maybe let's just give them another minute or two. It could be in a bad cell area. It's Trumbull after all, right? We don't have great service. Is there anyone there on the line for 35 Lorma Avenue? Dean Capaziello?
I did see Dean Capaziello enter before. Bill, is he there? Because he did come on before, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, he's showing now, but we're not hearing anything from him.
let's just give him a minute, and if not, we can move that to the end of the agenda.
My guess is he has us on mute and didn't realize we'd get to him that fast.
Yeah, Mr. Capizello, can you hear us? Can you hear us now? All right, so why don't we just do this as a matter of process? Let's move application 20-25 so we can keep going to the end of the agenda after application 20-28. Application 20-26, 34 Winslow Road, Don Osve. Please come forward.
Hi, good evening. I'm here with Don Osway. My name is Manny Machado. I prepared the plans for the addition submitted for Mr. and Mrs. Osway. They're both here with me. They are requesting permission to build a two-story addition into the side yard setback. The addition will consist of mostly a garage space on the first floor and a playroom on the second floor. The existing house is less than 1,000 square feet. It sits on a lot that's a third of an acre. And it's the second to last house on a small cul-de-sac on a portion of Winslow Road. There's an existing tree buffer that separates the rear yard from the Merritt Parkway and a 5-foot drainage easement at the side yard. Similar to many houses on the street, the existing conditions predate the current zoning regs. The street consists of small ranches and capes that have been added to throughout the years. Across the street is a two-story colonial. The Osways purchased this house in 2012. They now have 3 children ranging from preschool to elementary school age. The goal of the project was to provide the kids with a safe play space when the weather isn't so perfect outside. They would also like to house their vehicles safely, as recently there's been sort of a rash of break-ins in the neighborhood. Despite the addition, the structure increases the building coverage by less than 2%, and the overall percentage of that will be less than 50% of the 25% max allowable coverage on the lot. Mr. and Mrs. Osway, they reviewed the plans with their neighbors, and they received letters of support for the project from their neighbors, which they've submitted for record to the town. The hardship here essentially are the existing conditions. You know, it's a small lot with an easement and it's a small house, and there's not, you know, much place where you could do anything. And if you're going to accommodate a growing family, you know, you have to make small sacrifices here.
Thank you. So when you say they submitted letters of support from their neighbors, I don't, Ms. Finger, do you have letters of support? I don't have letters of support in the file that I have.
No, I did not receive any letters of support.
They were emailed.
Three different times, right?
Well, the letter of support were emailed us with the original application. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have those in front of me, and I'm sorry there was some sort of mix-up with whatever, but I'm told that the letters were submitted 3 times, and we're happy to submit them for your record.
They were sent one for the original application.
Yeah, so we can tell them, yeah, they were submitted with the regular application at the original time, and they were submitted to who the various neighbors are and with their address.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's things like that.
Yeah.
If you could, if you would kindly, and specifically, I'm just asking, I'm concerned about the, looks like Domingos and Lorinda Gabriel are next door. Did they submit a letter of support? We're on the record, so you can, you know, tell us.
They absolutely did, yes.
Yeah, we actually have that letter. We can read it to you if you like.
That would be nice. I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Give me 1 second, we'll pull that one up.
How many letters did you get?
3 or 4.
If you could read the letter from the Gabriels and then just tell us the names and addresses of the other people that support, that would be appreciated.
Absolutely. This was from Domingos Gabriel at 36 Winslow Road. To whom it may concern, I am the neighbor of the Osway family, and I would like to express support of my neighbor's garage addition to their home. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at 203-814-6662 or email me at The email address is dgabr255@gmail.com. Thank you, Domingos Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Osvig. Oh, sorry. Mr. Osvig, yes.
Sure. Yep. Thank you. So bear with me for a second. You said you just want the names of the other ones, or would you like me to read those as well?
No, if you could just read the names of the other ones in support and their address for the record.
Sure. This was, this is Carissa Vilios at 29 Winslow Road.
Yep.
This is also from George Salazar. He is at 4 Layton Road,
Yep.
which is pretty much diagonal from where I am. And then across the street was Chris Badia at 33 Winslow Road.
Okay. Okay. Thanks very much. I don't have any further questions. Commissioner Reale, do you have any questions?
Geez, I was trying to get myself off on mute. I feel obligated to ask a question now, but I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. Or actually, can you just describe the side lot or the buffer between, I guess that's 36 Winslow Road, the section that you're going to be building in. Just give me an indication of what that side yard looks like currently behind where it says Asphalt Drive. Is that just grass area? Is there some shrubs there? Any wooded area? Just explain that to me, please.
That's the, there's grass over there. There are, talk about this one right over
Yeah,
right
this
here.
one.
This is the grass right over there. There is the existing driveway that's right there.
Yeah, there's towards the back of the property, there's a brook that drains into a sanitary storm main, and that's what the 5-foot easement is for. This garage will abut the neighbor's lot has a blank wall of garage, so it's going to be garage abut, next to garage. We're not going to be next to anybody's, dining room or living room or anything else. And yeah, and the addition is way towards the back, away from the street. And actually, I mean, once they can house the garage, once they can house the cars, it will actually be better for the neighborhood because then you won't have a bunch of cars parked in the driveway or in front of the house. So that'll be more keeping the suburban feel here.
Great, thank you very much.
Commissioner Rosansky, any questions?
Yes, I do have some questions. Looking at it is very close to the side yard, and it's a significant request for a variance. And it's noted in the our packet here that says a review of this area shows similar setbacks as this in the surrounding area. Can I get some feedback from Doug on that? What regarding the setbacks?
Well, Joe, Commissioner, it's pretty much just what I wrote in there. If you looked at, GIS review of the area, you're going to see very similar setbacks all around. There's very, very tight lots in there.
Mm.
And is that it? So 36 Winslow Road, that's how close. What are they? They're as drawn on this survey plan. They're probably 9 feet from the property line. Is that what you'd think, Doug?
I would say yes without looking at it, Commissioner.
Yeah, right. The Domingos side property. And is that the garage that I'm seeing? Or what part of the house am I looking at of the Domingos?
That's the garage.
Garage. Okay. So at the end of the day, the houses are 14-ish feet, 15 feet apart.
Well, the garages will be, but the house themselves, they'll be further away from each other.
Right, because we're looking at 36 Winslow, I'm looking at the garage,
Right.
not the main body of the house, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. And there's a PVC, there's a privacy fence on the Domingos property.
That's correct.
Yes.
It's about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, 6-foot fence. Okay, no more questions for me.
Commissioner Saunders, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 2026? Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, there's a John and Jody. I'll be promoting them as a panelist.
Okay. I understand John and Jody on the phone have joined us for application 20-26. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-26? Please come forward.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Please identify
Yes.
your name and address.
Yep, John Zito, 30 Winslow Road, and we are right next door. We're on the opposite side of the construction, and
Yes.
we are in full support 100%.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-26? Please come forward. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-26? Please come forward. Hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing as to application 20-26.
Can I ask just one more question?
Yeah, Commissioner Riley, of course, we're in the closed meeting.
So all right, so we have the Domingos have emailed, and the Zito, we just spoke to her. Who else have we had a favorable contact with?
33, we have 33 Winslow, we have 30 Winslow, we have 29 Winslow, we have 36 Winslow, we have 4 Layton, all in favor based on the applicant's statement.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Is there a motion to approve application 20-26?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Riley. Is there a second?
Saunders seconds.
Saunders with a second. It's a significant encroachment, but all of the neighbors are in favor of it, so I don't really see an issue with it. The lot's relatively constrained. Any other comments from, I'll go through the roll again, Commissioner Reale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Commissioner Riley actually elicited a important point, and that is the location from the Domingos's property, their side yard, to the subject property, the applicant's property. And based upon the proximity of that side yard setback, I don't necessarily have an issue with this application. It's a tough lot. It abuts the Merritt Parkway. So I think it's an appropriate application. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, excellent points. Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky, any comments?
Yes, I have a couple comments. Looking at noting the setbacks, as was the previous commissioners noted, I put a scale on the plans, and I think you mentioned that it was like 10 feet. The distance, the number 30 to the property line is approximately 7 feet as scales with a scale. The proposal is for a 5-foot setback, which is 2 feet less. And regarding the adjacent parcel at 30, that's 15 feet. Just as for comparison, I know we're talking about similar setbacks. I was just wondering if going from 7 to 5 foot, I know there's a fence, privacy fence, but 5 feet, it is not a lot of space. I see with the 7, there's room for that privacy fence and a room to walk by here. But in this case, no other buffers are proposed except for my understanding that the buffer that's on the adjoiner's property.
Right, I mean, you've got a buffer on the adjacent property. The adjacent property owner has supported it. And it leads to a narrow passageway. But as you know, Commissioner Reale said, it's a tight lot and it's right on the Merritt Parkway.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at this, the placement of the privacy fence now, which maybe was put up by the, you know, given that it goes deep into the Domingos, you know, it goes further left. That's clearly on their property, and you know, gives the appearance that there's more space on this side than even the Domingos. It brings it a lot, you know, just for the sake of argument. That's probably 7.5 feet from their house, the fence. It doesn't change that this is a big ask, but given where the fence is and how tight the houses are, that 36 is right on top of 30. I mean, they're very close.
Concern would be, you know, the definition of a hardship here. And I know they have significant, in the building setback, there's significant room in the back there. Wondering whether an architect could modify that if you were to say have a modification for 7 feet, similar setback between, you know, as in the adjoiner setback for the Dominguez's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I can speak to that or not.
No, the public isn't allowed to comment during this portion. I'm sorry. But Commissioner Rosansky, I mean, effectively you're asking them to
It's 2 feet. It's not.
narrow the width by 2 feet. I mean,
right.
I think Commissioner Riley brings up a very good point that perception-wise, you've already got that extra feet because there's the privacy fence is a few feet into the other neighbor's yard. And what's
by their own placing, right?
Right. And it is a significant encroachment, but you know, is 2 feet really going to make a difference in a significant encroachment? It's still going to be a significant encroachment into the setback.
I'm just trying to understand the hardship issue and what, you know, what is a reasonable accommodation here if that is the case, if we so move.
Well, I guess the other question is how, let's just look at it practically. They don't have a wide driveway here, right? And if you were to shift, let's just say you shifted that back in, you know, there's obviously building space going backwards, you know, towards the back of the property. But you can't you wouldn't be able to, even if they gave up their deck, their gazebo, how would you get a car into a garage, even if you were to, let's say they didn't ask for any setback? You can't really swing a car properly into that garage. Even if they were to give up their deck, their gazebo, how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 90 by 160 lot. It's a tough lot.
Do you see what I'm saying? How could you, I don't think there's just a good way to pull it off either way. I mean,
typically very common, and I know this is in the past. This would have been done at a detached garage, which would be a different setback requirements in the past. I'm not sure about it would be the accessory structure, but I'm just looking at what we have here. Yeah, it is to do what is being asked here. It is close. I'm just trying to justify in my mind the when you say similar setbacks, so you know, are in the neighborhood. I'm taking Doug's word for that. And I did not drive the neighborhood, so I really don't know. what similar is. But the 5 feet is less than the 7, and that's less than the 14 on the adjacent parcel.
Right. And then, but even 30 Winslow, what is that? That's 16 feet
Right, 15 feet. I got 15 on my scale.
on 30?
Yeah, 30, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I know that's not the house, but that's to the property line.
Mr. Chairman, have you heard? Mr. Chairman, I've been listening to the comments from Commissioner Roshansky and Commissioner Riley. And just based upon the totality of the circumstances, the topography of the land, the proximity of the house to the side yard, I think it's in the ballpark. I absolutely think it's in the ballpark. You have 7 feet on one side, and especially taking into consideration the proximity of the fence to the side yard, that it's set back from the side yard on the Dominguez side. I think it's in the ballpark, and I would recommend approving the application.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky, any further comments before we move to Commissioner Riley?
No further comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley, I know you spoke, but I haven't actually asked you to chime in, so I just want to make sure we have all of your comments.
I think we've got it covered.
Thank you.
I think I just made my point clear, and these two are close, and we have a vinyl fence. You know, we've got our 6-foot privacy fence, which is kind of, you know, helping us out on the new construction side, and we have support from the Domingos. And frankly, putting this garage, where else could you really put it? You could put it in the further back, but then we're going to be asking for distance to the back of the property. And you still have to be able to get a car back there. This one's a tough one, so that's kind of where I'm with it.
Okay. Commissioner Saunders? Oh, you're on mute, Rob. You're still on mute.
No questions.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor of approving application 20-26, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Melanie Rosansky. Am I missing somebody? Saunders. Oh, 4. Okay, 4. All opposed? Okay, it passes 4-1. Commissioner Rosansky opposed. Thank you. Let me just check the engineering report.
Should you be calling in stormwater
Yes.
management? Yeah.
Yes. So application 20-26, prior to engineering approval, applicant must show compliance with the administrative policy for stormwater management and drainage design standards and make an application to the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission. The homeowner is responsible for any damage to the storm drainage infrastructure. Homeowner must notify engineering department prior to any site disturbance. That's application 20-26. Before we reopen the public hearing, I have a question for Mr. Cordone. For application 20-22, I did not mention the engineering department comments. Should I do that on the record now after we open the public hearing, or is there a particular time?
No, now is fine.
Okay. For application 20-22, 129 Fresh Meadow Drive, prior to engineering approval, applicant must show compliance with the administrative policy for stormwater management and drainage design standards. Thank you. We're going to reopen the public hearing now. Application 20-27, 99 Unity Road, Quick Close Investment Group, LLC. Please come forward.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. My name's Robert Rosati. I'm an attorney at 3241 Main Street in Stratford. I represent Quick Close Investment Group and also their general contractor, Vin Lombardo, who is a resident of Trumbull. This property was purchased in June of this year. And as you can see from the deed submitted, it's actually an old home that sits on Lot 10 from an approved subdivision from March of 1987. That's map number 2439. This was the only lot in that subdivision that had an existing homestead, an old home built in 1920 that predates current zoning. It's only a 1,400 square foot, 2-bedroom home. And that's basically my client's hardship. The pre-existing house that is can't be developed now as like the other lots in that approved subdivision. Again, because it predates the current zoning. That is our hardship. My client wants to keep the character of that whole old home. He wants to keep the character of the Nichols area, but he also wants to develop this house and this lot so it fits into the subdivision and the neighborhood on Unity Road and Windmill Lane. He can build the proposed addition going towards Windmill without any variances, but he needs the requested variance to carry the existing setback along Unity. He's not going closer to Unity with the addition, except for the porch and the stairs that are on the Unity side. It's a very minor request. Again, it fits into the neighborhood. It's not going to adversely affect the area. It's going to improve the lot. It's going to add tax revenue, and it's going to allow the applicant to develop this final lot in that 1987 subdivision. So we thank you for your attention, and we urge you to grant these minor variances.
Thank you, Mr. Rosati. So you're leaving the house, which already encroaches in the setback, right?
That's correct. The existing house is 42.4 feet from Unity.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a 1920 house.
So effectively, the setbacks almost encroached. You might say the setbacks encroached on the house because the house was there first, right?
That's a good way of putting it, sir. Yep.
All right. I got it. Okay. And this is just a few doors down from the cemetery, right? Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Mr. Rosati. Commissioner Reale, any questions?
No, the requested variances seem pretty de minimis to me, and the topography of or actually the location of the house on the lot makes it pretty straightforward, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Riley, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders, any questions?
Yeah, maybe I do have a question if he doesn't.
No, go ahead, Brian. I do not have any questions.
You know, Commissioner Saunders hasn't had a question all night. Let's let him ask a question. Come on.
I'm saving them for the next couple.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Riley. Sorry about that.
No problem. So is that above ground pool staying?
No, that's going, Mr. Riley.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of application 20-27? Please come forward. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-27? Please come forward. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing with respect to application 20-27 and begin our deliberation. This predated zoning and, I think the encroachments, the setbacks encroached on the house, so to speak. I don't really have an issue with it because it's, predated the town zoning and the changes look relatively minor. Commissioner Reale, any comments?
I concur with your opinion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Rosansky?
Yes, the addition does follow with the existing structure, and it appears to fit well, and it is a minor request.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
Yeah, I think it's centered on the property. I think it looks, I think it's terrific.
Great. Great. Sounds like Mr. Rosati is a buyer. Commissioner Saunders, any questions?
No questions. I make a motion to, do we already do motions to approve?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have started with motions.
So moved.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rosansky. I think we've covered the discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Commissioner Riley, how are you voting? Thank you. It passes unanimously. Ms. Finger, thank you. Just see if there are any comments. That was 20-27. Mr. Rosati, prior to engineering approval, applicant must show compliance with the administrative policy for stormwater management and drainage design standards. Thanks very much for your presentation. Have a good night. Application, we're going to reopen the public hearing for application 20-28. 52 John Street. Sean and Elizabeth Glynn, please come forward.
Sorry, I double clicked the mute. Good evening. My name's Sean Glynn. This is my wife, Elizabeth, here with me. We live at 52 John Street, and we submitted an application for variance because we want to install an 18-foot round above-ground pool on our side property. The requested location is 12 feet from the side lot line of 7 Shelton Terrace, and it's 30.8 feet from the front lot line. Prior to submitting our application, we met with our side neighbor who would be most impacted, Mrs. Margaret Beal, at 7 Shelton Terrace, discussed the plan, showed her the survey drawing, and she was enthusiastically in support of it. And along with the rest of the neighbors as well, we went to all the neighbors in our neighborhood who were within 150 feet of our property, and also got signatures of support from all of the ones that we could. Our reasoning for wanting to put it on the side yard is because that is where we have the most open space, and it's really where it would be least intrusive to other neighbors around us. So with that, we'd like to request approval for the pool, and we thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Glynn, for your presentation, and thank you for submitting a thorough list of the neighbors affected. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Reale, any questions for the Glynns?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question is, as I'm looking at your plot plan, and that was a very good presentation, and you should be commended for your preparation as far as contacting all of your neighbors and providing the letters in support. An example for others to follow. Is there any reason why the pool could not be set back further towards the rear property line? It seems like your neighbor, Mrs. Beal, her property line, it's on an angle towards her property, so it seems like it's a little wider back and it would be a less encroachment into the setback. Can you explain why you could not move the pool back, let's just say 20 feet? And it seems like instead of 12 feet, it would be almost like 14 or 16 or 18 feet potentially. Can you explain that, please?
I think if we went back further, first of all, I just want to address the property line. Although it is on an angle, there are very tall arborvitae trees. I mean, you really can't see through them, and we really can't see her house, and she can't see our property. As you go further back, you would I would picture this then going really past our porch in the rear of the house and really sticking into that backyard where we have neighbors directly behind on Lewis, and then the Dorans on the other side of the house are actually really close on our property line. So we were really trying to keep it out of their face and kind of center it there on that side yard where we thought it would be, again, least intrusive.
Perfect. I appreciate your response. Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry. Commissioner Rosansky, any questions or comments?
No, no further questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
Is there any screening that you have in mind on the front?
Yeah.
Any privacy screening, from the main road, from John Street?
Yeah, so currently there is already partial screening. There's a row of rhododendrons that would cover probably 50% of the view of it. And then our plan is to put up more arborvitaes around the rest of the showing area, because we obviously, for the look of our own property, we want to have that. So that is our plan, is to put more trees around the front part of that would be seen from John Street.
I actually have met with Maple Row, or whatever, Maple on the nursery, and I've talked to them about what trees we can put in to so that it's a little more private.
That's 100% in our game plan.
Right. And are these trees, do you think this privacy you're going to keep to the edge of your structure, or is it something that you'd have further in the front of the property? Do you think
it would be more around, like
the
towards
pool?
our house?
Yeah.
Right.
Because we already have the rhododendrons
Right.
right on this towards the street. So I think it would be more towards the house.
Almost an extension of the front, we're planning to put a garden in the front landscape and just sort of extend it out and kind of curve it around and make it look like a natural piece of the property.
Right. And then you have the screening already, those arborvitaes along the Beal property.
Yeah,
How
we
tall?
can't-
How
see
tall
there.
are those?
Oh gosh.
You think?
30 feet tall.
Yeah. All right.
And actually, you can see we submitted pictures, and you can actually see how thick those arborvitaes are on the side.
Commissioner Riley, any further questions?
Nope. No more questions for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders?
No, I just want to share with the group that prior to prepping for our canceled meeting, which I was supposed to be chairing, I actually went to this property. There's adequate screening on the eastern side to Mrs. Beal's property. I was actually approached by Mrs. Beal. She expressed to me that she had no problem with it. And yeah, just as long as there's some, I don't know if we would want to put it in the record, but I would strongly recommend, it is kind of close to the road where there should be a vegetation buffer. I don't know if we make it a contingency. It sounds like they're going to do it on their own, but that would be my only concern.
And Mr. Saunders, could you specify what kind of vegetation buffer and see if the Glens are amenable to that?
I'd give that to the town tree warden to go out there. But I mean, yeah, the arborvitae, any evergreen that's going to extend from the property border to as close to the house as possible would be my recommendation.
We're in agreement.
We're on board with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that, and I
Can we just
mirror
be
that.
specific? Okay, can we just be specific then, Mr. Saunders and Mr. and Mrs. Glynn, about what you're talking about as far as screening from where to where. This is from the Beal property along John Street. Is that correct?
Does it need to be the whole part or just what around the area of the pool?
I would say, you know, to the area of the pool, to where the pool's visible on the street.
Right. And that would be
Yeah,
our
you're-
intent.
Yeah, you're thinking from the corner of the house, more or less, to the Beal property line, which is arborvitae's. Just
Right. Going
Right.
as far as we need till you can't see the pool from the street. I think
Got
it'll be easier to judge that once we see the structure on, once it's built.
Well, let's
But we,
let's pick something permanent, such as the corner of the house, as Mr. Riley suggested. Does that work?
sure.
So would you be comfortable if this passed, we made an amendment to your application to include a screening requirement consistent with the tree warden's requests of appropriate screening from the corner of the Beal property along John Street to the first corner of your house where those steps are?
So you're saying you want the
trying
whole
to think.
line? Because our original thought, because we're 12 feet from Mrs. Beal. So our thought was to, do a whole line around the pool. So that,
Could you just be more specific as to location and
so from the corner of the house to 12 feet from Mrs. Beal's.
We're leaving a little opening to walk through the yard on the other side of the pool.
Got it. And that seems sufficient to me, Mr. Saunders. Is that what consistent with your thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-28? Please come forward. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-28? Please come forward. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing with respect to application 20-28 and have a vote. The public hearing is now closed. I think this seems fine to me with the addition of the screening from the edge of the house to the edge of the pool closest to the Beal line, consistent with what the tree warden would desire. If that were part of an amendment, that would be fine with me, considering, all the other factors. Commissioner Reale, any comments?
Having heard the application, I'm not even positive whether a condition is required or not. However, I would definitely go along with an amendment if it were made to the original application, and I would support the application as such. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if people feel strongly about an amendment, I'm fine with that too, but I don't see the necessity. Commissioner, sorry, I just want to make sure I get everybody. Commissioner Rosansky?
I concur with Commissioner Reale and would recommend that we vote separately on the amendment and the approval, if that's the case.
Okay. And Commissioner Commissioner Riley, comments?
no, I'm in agreement with the rest of the team here.
All right, Commissioner Saunders, comments?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I did this backwards again. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Reale, seconds.
All right. And
I don't think it's necessary to require the vegetation. It sounds like the Glyns are going to be doing this on their own. I don't think we have to make it any more complicated than it already is. I know they're going to probably do the right thing. Based on driving by there, I would want to have as much vegetation between me and the road.
We want it, yeah.
I don't think we need to make an amendment.
okay. Any further comment? I know I did this a little out of order. Okay.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Rosansky?
There were comments in the from the staff regarding the 150-foot setback requirement, and I did read which they say that probably moot. My comment would be moot because it sounds like they're going to remove it. But considering that requirement, my understanding is that similar to what other opinion we've had here regarding need for a buffer. If you read it, I'll read it out loud here, okay? regarding the current requirements. Says no swimming pool, tennis court, or other unenclosed recreational service shall be located in a front yard closer than 150 feet to the street line. In this case, this pool is in the side yard. It's not in the front yard. So this requirement does not apply. Even if whether it goes away or not, but currently I don't see it as applying. Would you want to, could you discuss that, or do you concur?
Is that a question for me, Commissioner?
Yeah. Yes.
The front yard is considered where the front of the front door is. And as such, the pool appears then to be
behind,
relative to the front yard, front lot line rather, it's closer than 150 feet. That's the general understanding of the way the regulation was written. And that's why the Regulation Rewrite Committee is looking at this and saying it really limits many people to do things, and it's just going to place pool placements back before this board where it really doesn't need to be.
Just to be clear, Doug, they, aside from the screening, they require fencing. You know, I know that that's not for us to discuss, but I mean, they're gonna require a fence all around this pool.
With Commissioner, not with an above ground. The requirement for above ground is different than an in ground.
Okay, sorry about that.
I can tell you, Mr. Rashansky's comments are duly noted for the record, and I believe that the regulation is, although well thought out, for this specific property, as Mr. Wentz had explained, it just doesn't necessarily apply and fit all that well. So I think to a certain extent, Mr. Rashansky is correct. It's a regulation that is moot with regard to this particular specific application. I don't think we need to cloud the record any further with commentary with regard to the regulation. And I don't think we should confuse this application anymore and just keep it simple and just go straight forward with the application. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's a good segue to the vote. I think we've exhausted the issues on this one. All in favor of application 20-28, 52 John Street, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Ms. Finger. Thank you very much. Application 20-28, Mr. and Mrs. Glynn, there are comments from the town engineer. No pool water, or requirements of the town engineer, I should say. No pool water shall be discharged into any wetland, town storm, or sanitary system. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
And we now have two applicants that were moved to later on because of let's say technical issues. The first one is application 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue. Oh, sorry. We're going to reopen the public hearing. We finished our discussion of application 20-28. I'd like to reopen the public hearing. We have two applications left. They were both moved to later in the agenda because of technical issues. Application 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue, George and Patricia Kostopoulos. Is anyone here for that? Or did Mr. Chin or Mr. Wentz or Ms. Finger hear from them at all?
Yes, I've heard from them. She or he has mentioned that they've been on the phone and they haven't gotten through. Let me see, I asked for the last four digits of their phone number, and it's 3934. I don't know, Bill, if you see them, if they're there.
I can. I just allowed them to speak. It says talking permitted, but it says mute. Ask to unmute. So they are muted.
20-23, 32 Turner Avenue. Would you please unmute your phone?
Bill, you may have to tell them how to do that. You can't.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I'm clicking the ask to unmute button, which should hopefully unmute them. I believe it's *6 on the phone to unmute.
No, that's correct. It's
there you go.
Yeah.
They're good. Hi. Is this 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue, George and Patricia Kostopoulos?
Yes, this is George Kostopoulos.
Costa.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you
don't
very
know
much.
what was
Sorry
going
about
on, but never been on mute. I even got the Pledge of Allegiance, but I don't want to hold you guys unnecessarily. My wife and I are requesting a side and rear setback variance for a 3-season room over an existing patio that was built for a hot tub. She and I are both disabled. We use the hot tub year-round for therapeutic purposes. Our lot isn't large, and the request is in line with the existing garage and house setbacks. Hopefully, that's enough information. I thank you for your help.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And I see the 3-season porch. I don't have any questions. We'll go through the the other commissioners. Commissioner Reale, any questions?
I have no questions nor comments. It looks pretty straightforward.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosansky, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
No questions.
Commissioner Saunders?
No questions.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-23? Please come forward. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against application 20-23? Please come forward. Thank you. We're going to close the public hearing now to further comment. Is there a motion to approve application 20-23?
So moved. I'll second Mr. Riley's motion.
Okay, Mr. Riley makes the motion. Mr. Reale seconds the motion. Seems pretty minor and necessary for them. I don't really have any issues. Mr. Reale, any comment?
No, sir.
Mr. Rosansky?
No, sir.
Mr. Riley?
None.
Mr. Saunders?
No question.
All in favor of application 20-23, 32 Turner Avenue, please raise your hand. Yeah, I can see you. Great. Passes unanimously. There are no comments from engineering for application 20-23. Mr. Kostopoulos, sorry for the technical difficulties. Your application was approved.
Thank you very much for your patience.
And you. We'll now reopen the public hearing. We had one other item that was moved to the end for technical difficulties. That is application 20-25, 35 Lorma Avenue, Dean Capiziello. Is someone on the line for that application?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Terrific.
Sorry about the technical difficulties before.
We're all getting used to this.
Yes. My name is Mark Ockman from Ockman Associates Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here representing Dean Capizello, the owner for his property at 35 Lorma Avenue. The site is located on the east side of Lorma Avenue, just south of Rangley Drive. The property is in Zone Residence A. It is an interior lot and is 1.22 acres in area. The property was part of a 2-lot subdivision approved in September of 2017.
Right.
It is currently vacant, and we are proposing to construct a 2-story residence and driveway. We have come before the commission tonight asking for the variance with respect to the southerly side yard setback. For interior lots, the side yard setback required is 50 feet. We are requesting a variance for 26 feet. In order to subdivide the property in 2017, the property was granted a variance for a minimum square dimension of the lot from 175 to 131 feet due to the irregularity of its shape. 50-foot building setback for the side and rear yard property lines as defined by an interior lot creates a difficult building area due to the lot being long and narrow in nature. The owner is requesting the southerly side yard setback to be reduced to 26 feet. This location will allow the dwelling to be further away from the wetland upland review area and will also allow for the addition of a pool if desired in the future. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Appin. Is there a reason why the variance wasn't requested with the prior variance request for the site?
My client, he just purchased the property, so that would be something, that would have had to been asked with the prior client or prior owner, I'm sorry.
If you could just help me a little with the map. Moving the property toward which boundary?
I'm moving it towards the southerly property line. Because it's an interior lot, it's required to have a 50-foot setbacks all around. And we are trying to reduce the southerly side yard setback to 26 feet, which in a typical Zone A residence, the side yard setback is 20 feet, but because we're an interior lot, it's 50 feet.
And is that because the topography trails off at each of those sort of corners dramatically? Gives you more, let's say, flat land?
It's partly due to that. There's a river in the back. There's an upland review area in the back. So if we were to slide that further back, we'd be, coming closer to that upland review area or regulated area.
And you want the potential space to put a pool in the future, true?
Yeah, we're leaving that as an option, yes.
Yeah.
This is his own home that he's looking to move into.
Right.
I don't have any further questions. Mr. Reale, do you have any questions?
So how far are the galleries from the restricted area, from the wetlands?
There's the retention system in the rear.
Yes.
Approximately, hold on. That's about 8 or 9 feet from the edge of the system to the upland review setback.
Yeah, I know this property. It's a very unique subdivided parcel, to say the least. And I'm not surprised that the new owner is coming before this board seeking some form of relief to build a reasonable house in a better situated placement, I should say, on the lot. I don't have any further questions. I just know it's a very, very difficult lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Mr. Rosansky, any questions?
Yes, the adjoining parcels on Bassick Road. There's Richard Latowski, 94 Bassick Road, right opposite. Do we have any idea how close the structures are? And have we gotten any feedback from the Latowskis on the support for this proposal?
I know my client has spoken to Mr. Latowski, and he approved the location of the new, the proposed structure.
Was that in writing or submitted to the board?
No, it was just a conversation they had out in the field.
Mr. Rosansky, any further questions?
No further questions.
Mr. Riley, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Saunders, any questions?
No questions.
Does anyone concerned about screening along the road that Mr. Rosansky referenced?
Oh, are you asking, Mr. Chairman, you know, the road that's being referenced, this lot is accessed off of Lorma, and hence the interior lot. So that's the only public street that it borders, which is Lorma. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll see that.
So, I mean, Bassick is a road in the area, but all of those adjacent lots surround the subject property. And the subject property is accessed from Lorma on a very, very long driveway to get to the building envelope.
Yeah. I don't have any further questions. Sorry, I was just throwing that out to the group. Any further questions from the commissioners?
No
Okay.
further questions for me.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of application 20-25? 35 Lorma Avenue, please come forward. Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-25, 35 Lorma Avenue? Please come forward.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Looks like there's
Mr. Chin, is there anyone else?
and Miss Winsco. I'll bring Miss Winsco in. Mr. Carly may, or Miss Winsco may speak.
For those of you who just joined us, we just heard the presentation for application 20-25, 35 Lorma Avenue.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, yeah, we're with, on the Diane Winsco line. My name's Al Palatillo. I'm here with Seth Shepherd. We are, well, I am an abutting owner to the property. I'd like to speak.
Would you kindly state your each person's name and address who's on the line?
Yeah, my name is Albert Palatillo, Al Palatillo, and I'm at 106 Fernwood Road.
And I'm Seth Shepherd, 114 Fernwood Road.
So we're on the other side of the request, the other boundary of the request next to the Carly residence.
Yes, please continue.
All right, so I vehemently opposed to this. We have sent a letter previously to Doug Winsco, and he said that Doug Wentz, my wife's Winsco, Doug Wentz, and he assured me that it was submitted to the Board of Appeals. So we appreciate that you listening to us today.
Did you get the letter, copy of our letter?
I don't believe I have a copy of the letter. Mr. Wentz, is that letter in the file? Ms.
It
Fingers?
should be in there, Mr. Chairman, because we did receive it.
We would very much like to have the letter read into the record if they have not read it.
I've got a copy that I can read into the record if you don't.
Yes, I'd appreciate it if you could. So Mr. Saunders is going to read the letter into the record. Thank you.
This letter is addressed to the Zoning Board of Appeals regarding the application of the Zoning Board of Appeals request to reduce the buildable setbacks at Lot 2, parcel number ID 35 Lorma Avenue, currently owned by Dean Capizzello. Dear Doug, it's been almost 3 years to the day since all the neighbors who would join the Sandstone property on 110 Fernwood Road agreed not to contest Sandstone's Zoning Board of Appeals application to subdivide the property at 110 Fernwood Road and 35 Lorma Avenue into 2 lots. As I'm sure you recall, this subdivision application required 4 variances from the town zoning regulations, including the most important variance, which was that the lot number 1, i.e. the existing house on 110 Fernwood Road, would lack frontage on the town road, i.e. Fernwood Road. Please refer to the attached letter dated August 25th, 2017 to you at the Trumbull Planning and Zoning. As adjoining owners, we received a letter that the new owner of lot number 2, parcel ID number E09-23 on the accessor map with access from Lorma Lane is requesting yet another variance. Be advised that the adjoining owners, as you can imagine, cannot believe that the new owner of lot number 2, knowing the history of the subdivision, is requesting yet another variance. As you will recall, the neighbors of the original Sandstone property fought long and hard to squash the proposed 25-unit affordable housing development that the Sandstone first tried to get approved. And only after 3 years of legal arguments in the town meetings, it was agreed by all adjoining property owners not to oppose Sandstone's final 2-lot subdivision of the Sandstone property, which still required the ZBA to grant 5 variances. Here is the issue. With this latest ZBA request, the original 2-lot subdivision submitted by Sandstone after his failed 25-unit development showed 2 lots as standard A zone size lots. As standard A zone lots, they would have required several variances. In order to reduce the total number of variances to 5, the revised subdivision application was designed to show 1 standard A zone lot and 1 rear lot. Because the new lot off of Lorma was to be a rear lot and setbacks are increased per zoning regulations, that increase in the building setbacks was one of the reasons the adjoining owners had agreed not to oppose the revised 2-lot subdivision. These larger setbacks gave the adjoining owners the extra margin of privacy that we all could live with. Therefore, the new owner to request a variance to reduce the setbacks required by the rear lot undermines the reason for the original subdivision approval. Therefore, this request to reduce the building setbacks is unacceptable and the application should be denied. We, the adjoining owners, vehemently oppose this ZBA request. Respectfully, Albert and Diane Patiello, 106 Fernwood Road, Trumbull, Connecticut. Copy to Seth Shepard, IV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saunders, for reading that into the record. I understand, Mr. Paltiello, you and another of your neighbors are on the phone. Do you have any further comments to add to that letter?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, I don't know what the hardship is in this case because the lot is fairly level. Also, we have a drawing, if you look at that shows that a 4,000 square foot house could be built well within the setback lines with additional room for approval later in time. There is no legal hardship for this builder to require an encroachment into a setback that was agreed to by all 12 adjoining owners back when the subdivision was approved.
And we had to agree not to file any adverse possession claims in order to have this approved. So
Is that Mr. Paltiello speaking?
Yes, it is.
Okay, sorry.
So so there was, we basically paid, we had given up opportunities so that we could negotiate this in good faith with many representatives from the town and Sandstone. For this reason, there's a new owner who purchased this lot, knowing the setbacks, knowing where the wetlands are. There is nothing that shows that there's a hardship and that he was unaware of his ability to build a very nice house under the provisions of all the setbacks.
Again, a 30 by 17 foot home with a 2-car garage clearly fits within the setbacks that are shown. Whether the builder decides or the owner decides he would like a larger house, he should have bought a different lot.
Thank you. Any further comments, Mr. Paltiello, or I think it was Mr. Sherman as well?
Shepard, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-25?
Mr. Chairman, there's Mrs. Carley, or Ms. Carley would like to speak.
Ms. Carley, please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name's J.C. Carley. I'm here with my husband, Peter Carley. We own the property directly to the, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you.
We own the property directly to the north of 35 Lorma. Our address is 100 Fernwood Road. If you're standing in the design with your back to the 3-car garage that is proposed, you'll be looking at our property line. We have a significant amount of the property line that will be affected by this. It's like 250 plus feet. So that's who we are. We want to thank you for your time that you've spent on this property over the years. And I don't really need to rehash the history as you've just heard it from Al. We have no control over what you're going to decide tonight about this. What we do ask is if you do decide to approve this property, there are some things that we're very concerned about. One of which is there's a very long driveway that will be leading to his home. It's very wet back there, and this property, the driveway's already been built up a bit and will be built up more. This will create a dam in our property, and we're very concerned about the drainage so that the backyard will be very wet in our backyard. So we'd like to ensure that whatever you approve does have proper drainage for us. I don't know if anyone has been to the site, but the site has been cleared of most trees. There are very few remaining trees in the property. And one of the remaining trees fell on our property, taking out one of our huge cedar trees that would have been a screen to this property. So during the storm, one of their big trees fell. We had to clean it all up. Al's family and our family had to deal with that. And so that's even one less tree that is there to help with the screening. So this is going to be a very large house if you approve it. It seems to be asking to be 2 to 3 times bigger than the building square would be allowing. This will give us significant light and cars and all that kind of stuff in our property, and we would be requesting, if approved, that there be a buffer put in place, that there'd be a cedar fence put on our property line to help buffer the site view of this large house that might be approved. We propose that we would control that fence just so we can maintain it over time. Is that about all that we have?
That we don't see a hardship.
We agree with our neighbors in that we don't see a hardship in the property, and that they did know what they were purchasing when they purchased it. No one buys a lot that they're hoping to build on without looking at the buildable lot areas to figure out what they can build. So that's all I guess I have to say, and I thank you so much for your time and effort with this property over time, and for staying up this late to hear our comments.
That's what we do. Thank you for your presentation and the thoroughness. I appreciate it. And I do remember this from a few years ago. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the opponents? There are 3 people. I think I'll go through the commissioners, and feel free to ask the people who are in opposition any questions you have. I just want to make sure we have a complete understanding of the opposition to this. Commissioner Reale, any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions for the members of the opposition. I think they have very eloquently articulated their position with regard to the history of this lot. As I indicated earlier, I'm familiar with the lot, and it is a tough lot. But I do appreciate the summary of how we got to this lot from the original parcel.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I was on the ZBA when this subdivision was approved, and the matter came before ZBA. So I do appreciate the summary that was provided by the existing neighbors. As I indicated, it's a tough lot, and the comments made by the neighbors just reinforce the fact that it is a tough lot, period. And the one thing that just strikes out and that sticks out in my mind is the, ringing in my mind is the term caveat emptor, and buyer beware. That's just what sticks out in my mind, and it's reinforced by the comments made by the neighbors. I don't have any specific questions for them. However, those are my comments, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly, especially if you throw in a Latin phrase. Commissioner Rosansky, any comments or questions for the three people who are appearing in opposition to this application?
No questions, although pointing out the Sansone, I was present for this when this was, it was rather contentious. And I have some concerns, but not for the neighbors.
Thank you. Commissioner Riley?
No, I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Saunders?
No questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to application 20-25, 35 Lorma Avenue? No. I would afford Mr. Achman a rebuttal if it's brief. If you have any comments to raise with the comments that were raised in opposition, we'd hear them. We're not going to go back to the other side afterwards, but if you have a brief commentary, we'll hear it, and we'll open it up for questions to you as well.
Both oppositions parties, they're situated on the north side of the property. We're actually pushing the house further away from both of those, adjoiners, and pushing the house southerly. As far as drainage is concerned, the drainage design meets the town drainage design standards. We are proposing a culvert so that the existing drainage pattern running north to south drains through our property and continues on through the property with this culvert. So there's going to be no dam created with the driveway that is proposed. So those are my two comments that I have.
Mr. Achman, what about the just sort of basic fairness principle? When this came up, the neighbors decided to drop all of their opposition and let go through several variances all at once in 2017, whether this owner owned the property or not. The variances run with the land, and as Mr. Reale informed us, buyer beware. The buyer could and should have completely diligenced this and understood what had happened just a short 3 years ago. It seems like a little bit of a retrade that a deal was made with one set of variances, and now somehow there's a new or different hardship that's creating a need for another.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the deal that was made between the adjoining properties and the former owner. Obviously, a person bought this property. I'm representing him. I did not represent, I guess it was Sansone at the time, nor was I any part of that deal that was made with the adjoining property owners. So I can't really, comment on any deals that were made for the approval of the two lots previously.
Thank you. Any for the public, please keep your phone on mute while someone's answering, just so we don't have any background noise. Commissioners, any further questions for the applicant, Mr. Achman, on behalf of Dean Capiziello? Mr. Reale?
Yeah, my only question would be the standing question that I believe, Mr. Chairman, that you had proposed, and that is there, or actually the opposition had proposed, is not only is there a clear-cut hardship, but is there a new hardship that did not exist prior to the relief that was provided by ZBA previously when they subdivided the property? So I think we need a clear-cut articulation of a new hardship that was not self-created, if at all possible.
I second that.
Yeah,
That-
Mr.
that's what I
Capizello.
want.
Sorry, Mr. Achman.
Oh, well, the hardship that was created by creating this non-conforming lot based on the fact that it does not meet the minimum square. The minimum square is 175 by 175, and this lot that was cut out 3 years prior only has 131 by 131 square. So that's the hardship. And then you're reducing the potential building area. It's now a triangular piece, which starts from 0 in width and, just goes to basically 65 feet in width towards the back.
Mr. Rosansky, any further questions?
No further questions.
Sorry, Mr. Riley,
No further questions.
Mr. Saunders?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to close the public hearing now.
Mr. Chairman, Dean Capizello here that would just like to speak for a little bit about the property.
Good evening. I only had Mr. Achman representing you.
Okay, well, I just wanted to go
Yes,
on the record
go ahead, sir.
for, just a few answers to my neighbors. Again, everybody on Fernwood, it's not impacting them at all. Matter of fact, it's going to benefit them more, as far as lights and all that. And I went through a lot of the neighbors on Bassick that was going to impact. And I said, listen, I will plant a row of trees around the whole perimeter if that's what they're concerned about. I want to make the place as nice as comfortable for everybody in their own backyard, because I do realize, trees are gone now. It's opened. They missed the woods, and I understand that. So I do landscaping, so I plan on planting everything around, which is even going to benefit them even more, especially in the wintertime. The leaves are off the tree, and now it's all opened up. And I understand that, but I'm going to be living there, so I'm going to address that problem personally. So I just wanted to say to people on Fernwood that, if you do take in consideration, I will, I don't know as far as fencing, but I will do screening with green giants, dark American arborvitaes on everybody's backyard, the whole perimeter. I want to keep it as private as possible. But every way I put that house, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because it gets tough. It's like what Mark said, it was a triangular piece. It's hard to make the swing with the driveway. So that's just why I wanted to go on record and tell the neighbors, I'm willing to work with them. If there's conditions or, whatever you guys think, I'm more for it, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to say, but I think I addressed all the problems there, and I hope we all can be neighbors, because I'm looking forward to move into it. On Lorman, I live on Black House now, but I'm looking forward to moving to Lorma. And actually, I waited a long time to buy this lot, and there was a lot of problems with this
How
lot.
could you let him talk when you closed the public hearing?
No, excuse me, please.
I'm sorry.
We're about to close the public hearing. I'm being deferential to Mr. Capizello because he hadn't spoken. I realize that other people had spoken. Please let Mr. Capizello finish.
Well, the bottom line is, I will address the problem if there's conditions on approval, or if it doesn't get approved. I don't know, but we worked hard on it, me and Mark, and it's a beautiful design. It's a beautiful house. It's not really high. My neighbors to the right were very concerned about the height of the building, and I kept it low. I kept it a low-lying ranch. It's only averages 29 feet at its peak. And, a lot of them are well above that. And that's basically it. I mean, as far as, you know, all the joiners on the Fernwood, I will address the problem with screening but the house is further away from them. I don't understand their arguments, but it is further away from their property lines. And if anybody has concerns are the people on Bassick, because they're closest. So I don't understand their argument, but hey, everybody has an argument, and I just wanted to go on record and state that.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for listening. I really do.
Thank you very much. We've heard from your representative, and the commissioners have had an opportunity to ask questions of your representative. So I won't go unless a commissioner speaks out now and wants to ask follow-up questions. I won't go back to the commissioners and ask them follow-up questions. Rather, we'll close the hearing unless I see a quick objection to that from any of the commissioners.
Well, thank you.
Seeing or hearing none. We'll now
Mr. Chairman, there is one. I think you received a letter. I hope you did anyway, in favor of this application.
Yes, we received a letter by email, I think today. Everyone should have that in their package. In favor of this. So that's a matter of the record. I don't have to read that into the record. Is that correct, Mr. Cordone?
You could just state the name and the address of the person who, if it's readily available.
Okay, I knew you'd make me look it up.
I have it if you'd like, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that's, yes, Mr. Wentz, that's fine. If you'd like to,
Yes.
that'd be.
Yeah, the individual who wrote the letter is John Pellicci, Pellicci at 31 Norma Avenue.
Thank you. Thank you. And we all received that by email today from Ms. Finger. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing now. This session is for commissioners only. Look, without taking into account the concessions that the applicant's willing to make, I remember this application. The neighbors gave up substantial rights to be able to agree to the lot as was configured. It's an odd lot. That doesn't mean you get to play with it and do more with it than you really can. So I'm really not inclined to approve further variances after substantial variances were approved. That's my take on this. Commissioner Reale, sorry. Is there a motion to approve this?
I make a motion to approve.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
I think we're a little frozen here. It might be my computer.
Nice. Commissioner Rosensky, second.
There's a second. Thank you. Sorry. I don't know if that was me or you. All right. You heard my points. Commissioner Reale?
Like I indicated earlier, this is a very difficult lot. And it was a difficulty that was created by the subdivision. This was one parcel at one point. Subdivided, became two parcels. One parcel existed, and this is the parcel that was unimproved. For us to grant additional variances, in my opinion, would be, variance squared. You're granting a variance to a variance. By definition, a variance is a deviation from the existing regulations. Unless there's some specific, unique, and most importantly for me, new circumstance that creates a hardship that was not created by the owner themselves, I don't think the applicant has met its burden in showing a hardship to allow us to grant this particular variance to the already adjusted approved lot. That's my comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Reale. Commissioner Rosensky?
Yes, I do concur with Commissioner Reale there. And speaking in regard to the comments that were made, and basically they was stated that if anybody should have a concern, it should be the residents on Bassick. Although looking further at the Bassick properties, because of the configuration of the property, does not appear to be as bad as it appears, but it is still a variance that's after the fact here. It does appear to be a self-created hardship. I would have asked for the variance in the beginning as part of the original proposal, but again, it was unimproved, and it's hard to be a Monday morning quarterback here and fix things. It is a difficult lot, and I think the surveyor and the builder did a nice job on fitting a property on there, but the issue of the variance is a hard one to make here, to approve some additional variances. Would be curious though if they would be willing to come back with another proposal that maybe that if and that's, I don't know. I just feel bad about the whole issue of another variance. You know, a proposal that is perhaps less of an encroachment may be easier to look at and approve. But as I see it right now, I have a hard time. I can't approve. I would not approve this as it stands.
Commissioner Riley?
I'm in the same place, and I saw this property the last go around. I mean, ultimately, we're making one more, you know, we're adding another variance to this variance full agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'd have to do. Yeah, it is absolutely a tough lot.
Commissioner
and I don't
Saunders?
have it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, it's a tough lot. I don't have much to add to that.
Okay. Commissioner Saunders?
The only comment I want to make, which Mr. Capizzello hit up on, is the fact that the two people that are here in the meeting in public speaking against this are actually going to now force the house to be moved more in towards their property. So I hate to tell these, say this, but they're, I understand their concern. There was a lot of headaches. I get why they were pissed off. They don't want to see any more additional changes, but it's actually, they're making people move the house closer to their houses. So, hey, it is what it is.
Correct. It was ironic, but there's, I think, more than meets the eye there. All right, let's call a vote on this. All in favor? All opposed to application 20-25?
Aye.
Five in opposition. That's the last application. Is there a motion to any other business? No. I'd like to thank town staff and town attorney, Ms. Finger, Mr. Wentz, Mr. Chin, Mr. Cordone. Thank you for your patience, your time tonight, and your guidance. It's all a brave new world, and you've all been very helpful for us lay people here in the ZBA. Thank you very much on behalf of the entire ZBA once again, and we'll see you next week. On that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Excellent job today, Mr. Chairman, tonight. And by all commissioners as well. I'll move to adjourn.
It's a group effort.
I second
that.
All in favor? Aye.
Take care, guys. Be healthy.
Good night.